A chance encounter. It was a crisp November afternoon in Chicago. The city's iconic Michigan Avenue buzzed with energy as locals and tourists hurried along, wrapped in coats and scarves against the biting wind. Among the bustling crowd was Donald Trump, recognizable in his long navy blue overcoat and signature red tie. Despite his tight schedule for an upcoming meeting, he chose to walk the final stretch back to his hotel, taking in the energy of the city. As he approached Millennium Park, something made him pause. On the cold concrete, hunched against the side of a building, was a woman. Her gray hair was tucked under a worn knit cap, and her tattered coat offered little protection against the chill. A cardboard sign rested in her trembling hands, the words hastily scrawled, "Veteran in need. Please help." Trump stopped in his tracks, ignoring the flow of pedestrians that moved around him. Her tired eyes, etched with lines of hardship, caught his attention. She seemed almost invisible to the crowd, but to Trump, she stood out. He approached her slowly, kneeling down to her level. "Ma'am," he said gently, his voice cutting through the background noise. "What's your name?" Startled, the woman looked up, her expression a mix of caution and surprise. She hadn't expected anyone to stop, let alone someone who exuded such authority. "It's Teresa," she replied hesitantly, her voice barely audible. "Teresa Hensley." Trump's gaze softened. "Teresa, you're a veteran." She nodded, her hands trembling as she clutched the sign tighter. "Yes, sir. Served in the Army for 12 years. Got injured overseas, and things haven't been easy since." The weight of her words hit Trump harder than he expected. Here was a woman who had given her best years in service to the country, now left to fend for herself on the streets. He felt a swell of determination rise within him. "Why are you out here?" he asked, his tone gentle but firm. "Don't you have a place to stay?" She shook her head, her eyes downcast. "Lost my apartment months ago. Couldn't keep up with the rent. Been trying to get back on my feet. But it's hard." Trump reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. His expression grew resolute. "Teresa, stay right here. We're going to fix this." The call for help. Stepping a few feet away, Trump dialed a number. On the other end, his longtime assistant, Margaret, picked up instantly. "Margaret, I need you to find a nearby hotel with availability and arrange for a doctor to meet us there. Make it quick. It's urgent." Margaret's response was immediate. "Understood, Mr. Trump. I'll handle it right away." Returning to Teresa, Trump knelt down once more. "Help is on the way, Teresa," he said with conviction. "But first, let's get you something warm to eat." Spotting a nearby food vendor, he purchased a steaming bowl of soup and a sandwich, bringing them back to Teresa. She hesitated, as if unsure whether to accept the kindness, but hunger eventually won out. As she ate, Trump stayed by her side, listening intently as she spoke of her life. She shared stories of her deployments, the camaraderie of her fellow soldiers, and the injury that had ended her career. She spoke of her struggles to adapt to civilian life, of the friends she had lost along the way, and of the overwhelming challenges that had led her to this moment. Minutes later, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. Margaret had acted quickly. A driver stepped out and opened the door. "Teresa," Trump said gently, helping her to her feet. "This is for you. We're taking you somewhere safe. A new beginning." The SUV whisked them to a nearby luxury hotel where the staff, prepped by Margaret, greeted Teresa like a VIP. She was led to a spacious suite on the top floor, complete with a hot shower, fresh clothes, and a warm bed. A doctor arrived shortly after, conducting a thorough checkup and providing medication for her ailments. Meanwhile, Margaret contacted Veterans United Support Services, a nonprofit dedicated to helping homeless veterans reintegrate into society. Within an hour, their representative, Lisa, arrived at the hotel. Sitting beside Teresa, Lisa smiled warmly. "Teresa, we're here to help. We'll assist with housing, job training, and anything else you need to get back on your feet. you're not alone anymore." Overwhelmed by the kindness, Teresa's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Trump, who stood quietly in the corner, and whispered, "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Trump." Trump stepped forward, his expression kind. "You don't need to thank me, Teresa. You've already done so much for this country. It's time someone did something for you." By the next morning, Teresa had a renewed sense of hope. Veterans United had found her temporary housing, and Trump's foundation had committed to covering her rent for the first year. He even handed her a check to help with immediate expenses. As Trump prepared to leave, Teresa stopped him. Her voice, steady now, was filled with gratitude. "Mr. Trump, you've changed my life. I don't know how I'll ever repay you." He smiled warmly. "You don't owe me anything, Teresa. Just promise me one thing. When you're able, pay it forward." "I will," she said with newfound determination. "I promise." The ripple effect. Weeks turned into months, and Teresa flourished under the support she received. She secured stable housing, found a job with the help of Veterans United, and even began volunteering to help other veterans in need. Inspired by her journey, she became a beacon of hope for others facing similar struggles. Trump, reflecting on that November afternoon, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had made a difference, not just in Teresa's life, but in the lives of all those she would go on to help. For Teresa, the future now seemed bright, and for everyone who heard her story, it served as a powerful reminder. A single act of kindness has the power to change the world. A lesson for us all. As the days turned into weeks, Teresa's transformation became a testament to the power of compassion and resilience. She went from a life of uncertainty to one filled with purpose, all because someone took the time to see her as more than her circumstances. Through the support she received, she rebuilt her life, and in doing so, she inspired others to believe in the possibility of a second chance. Donald Trump's actions that day weren't about grandeur or public image. They were about the humanity in extending a hand to someone in need. It wasn't just about money or resources. It was about taking the time to listen, to care, and to act. His message was clear. One person's willingness to make a difference can set off a ripple effect, changing not only one life but countless others. For Teresa, the promise she made that day to pay it forward became her guiding principle. She started mentoring other homeless veterans, helping them navigate the path back to stability. Her story, once defined by hardship, now became a beacon of hope, a reminder that no matter how dark life may seem, there's always a way forward when someone believes in you. This story leaves us with an important lesson. Kindness is never wasted. Whether it's offering a meal, lending an ear, or providing a helping hand, small acts of generosity can ignite profound change. It's a call to action for all of us to look beyond appearances, to see the humanity in others, and to remember that sometimes all it takes is one moment of compassion to transform a life. So as you go about your day, take a moment to look around. Be the person who chooses to act, to care, and to make a difference. After all, the greatest measure of our character isn't what we accomplish for ourselves, but what we do for others when they need us most.